Perfect. So once again, welcome everyone. This is course and schedule information, and I will pass it off to Marnie to do the land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Mohammed. Before I begin the land acknowledgement, I just want to mention the links at the bottom of the page are for some resources from the university. The first one is our view on why it's important to acknowledge the land. The second one is a site. Actually, this is not a university site, but it is a site that you can go to see the treaty that the land that you're standing on belongs under. So it's a very interesting site that has a lot of information and history on it. And the third one is the TMU commitment to the truth and reconciliation. So we are speaking to you from Toronto to Toronto. This city is located in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and to protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect.
Okay. So the Graduate Studies Office is comprised of 6 individuals. This is where all the magic happens. First, we have Tanisha Boyd. For those of you that attended the session 2 weeks ago, Financing Your Studies, you would have had a chance to meet Tanisha. She handles everything related to funding, awards, external and internal awards. Then we have Emily. Emily is the Graduate Program Administrator of the Master of Digital Media program. Now, that program has numerous complexities to it. And for that reason, they have their own dedicated graduate admin that does admissions, enrollment, graduation, funding, all of that. And that's what Emily does. Elaine is someone with whom most, if not all of you are familiar. Elaine handles admissions for all the graduate programs here. So you would have, at any point in time during the admission cycle, been in touch with her, received an offer letter from her, asked questions about admission requirements, but Elaine's that person. Now, once you start your academic journey with us in September, you will officially be handed off to me, and I'm the academic coordinator. So I handle everything with respect to current student concerns and issues. So academic advising, leaves, course enrollment, that all goes to me. So I'll be the one you'll be working with pretty much for the entire duration of your degree. And then we have Daniel Garcia, who is the manager of graduate program administration. So he's the one that oversees the entire team, oversees the office, and oversees all graduate programs at the Creative School. And I'll let Marnie introduce herself.
Thanks, Mohammed. Hi, everyone. I'm Marnie Gilbert. So I work with the team on finance and administration. Most of my role is kind of in the background, so you won't often see emails with my name on it. I work on schedules, budgets, contracts, that type of thing. But there are a couple of areas where I'll be in contact. So for the first one is one that we're going to talk about today. So there's certain forms that the Yates School for Graduate Studies requires that all TMU graduate students complete. One is a plan of study form, which we ask you to complete once at the start of your program, and the other one is a progress review, which you need to complete annually. So I'll be distributing and collecting those forms. And then other areas which you might see me in are events. So if there's program events, I do all the catering and event setup and tear down. And then if there's any reimbursements or small contracts, those type of areas, I answer questions and process those as well. So I'll just move to some helpful links. As Mohammed mentioned, you'll receive a copy of or access to this slideshow. So you'll have the chance to explore the sites that are hyperlinked throughout. But we just like to kind of briefly point you in the direction of some helpful places to visit. So the first one is for financial matters. So this site goes over the tuition fee policies and processes, as well as has helpful information and links for funding and scholarships. The second one is the graduate significant dates. So this is set up kind of like a list of calendar dates. So it tells you the dates for fee payments, holidays, first day of class, last day of class, exam periods, enrollment, everything like that. But what is important to note is that the graduate significant dates are slightly different than the undergraduate significant dates. And if you go to the TMU website, the first thing that will come up if you search significant date is the undergraduate um, listing. So it's important to look specifically for the graduate ones or to keep track of this link. And then the next one is policies. So there's a number of Senate policies that govern the way that the graduate program is administrated. We specifically here kind of highlight one policy, which is Senate Policy 170B, and we'll refer to it a couple of times throughout this slideshow. And one of the areas that it covers is, again, those forms I mentioned, the plan of study and the progress review forms.
And the last link, the graduate calendar, that links to the YSGPS general TMU graduate calendar, which is pretty much a hub of information that contains course descriptions and curriculum requirements for every graduate program at TMU. And we'll make reference to that later on in the presentation. So enrollment timeline and the enrollment process. So this is why you're all here. I assume this is why you're all here. So I'll go through this carefully. As a graduate student, you're required to maintain continuous registration until you graduate, including the spring and summer term. So unlike undergrad, whether in graduate school, whether you take 0 courses, 1 course, or 5 courses, you're considered a full-time registered student. So many of you have questions around OSAP, where you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm only taking 3 courses. Am I considered a full-time student? Yes, you're considered a full-time student. The only programs that offer a part-time option are the Master of Digital Media and the PhD program. And you would know if you're a part-time student because that would be reflected in your offer letter. But for all of the purposes, you're all full-time students coming into TMU, into your graduate studies. The only exception to the continuous registration rule is a leave of absence. So you can take a leave of absence for medical and compassionate reasons for up to 3 terms, or up to 5 terms for a parental leave of absence. A leave of absence essentially freezes your time in the program. So your tuition gets frozen, your funding gets frozen, and you can pretty much, when you're ready to come back, you pretty much just carry on from where you left off. Failure to maintain continuous registration and enrollment will result in a freeze to the disbursement of your funding. So when you look at your offer letter, any funding you were provided, whether that was an OGF, a TMGF, a TMGS, that funding is contingent on you maintaining your full-time registration with your program. As soon as that stops, the funding does stop. And it is your responsibility as a full-time student to check your My Service Hub, which is your student account, regularly to ensure you're enrolled in all the courses you need to be enrolled in. Now, with enrollment, the Graduate Studies Office sends out an email, usually about 6 weeks prior to each term, containing a course selection form. Now, this form pretty much lists all the required courses in which you'll be enrolled, and also lists all the electives you can take if your program offers electives. So here you select the electives you want, you submit the form, it'll come back to me, and I'll be enrolling all of you in your courses. So just to repeat, do not enroll yourself into courses. I know some of you at undergrad, you're able to do that. Here at the Creative School, the graduate team will enroll you in every course you take, required and elective courses, okay? Now, with electives, any in-program electives will be included on the course selection form. So if you're in the Master of Professional Communication, whatever MPC electives we offer in that term will be included on that form. And you can select them and then submit the form, and then we'll get you enrolled into those courses. If you are interested in taking electives outside your program at other programs in the Creative School, so like if you're an MPC and you want to take a media production elective or a journalism elective, you can do that. We have something called a course substitution process, which I'll talk about a bit later. It's a form that you pretty much just have to get signed by your supervisor and your program director. um, and submit it. And then after we review it, we'll enroll you in if there's still space available. You also follow this same process if you are to take an elective outside the creative school at a different faculty. So if you wanted to take an elective in psychology or social work or nursing, those options are available to you. You would essentially use the graduate calendar to determine that. So here we've linked the Creative School Electives website in the second bullet point. This is where we list all electives that the Creative School graduate programs offer. And so you can look at this list and decide, okay, I want to take an elective in a different program. This is what's available. Cool, I'll fill the course substitution form out and get that sorted. When it comes to electives offered throughout TMU, there's no master list for that. So for that, you would pretty much have to contact each individual department to see what courses they're offering and if those courses are available to non-program students. Now, as a graduate student, you can also take undergraduate courses. You can audit, actually, undergraduate courses. We've linked the course audit form there. You can see what it looks like. Just one thing to note, undergraduate courses do not count toward your course requirements. And lastly, just a bit more about the course selection process. So you've decided that you want to take an elective in a different program, just totally fine. You get the course substitution form. You have your supervisor, if you have one, approve it. You have the program director approve it. And if the course is a course outside of your program, you would have the course instructor of the target course approve this as well. Once all that is done, there's also a space for you to indicate why you're doing this, why you're taking this course outside your program. So in most cases, students just say, I'm swapping this for an elective I would take in the program with an elective I'm taking in another program. And then you submit it, we review it, and then we get you enrolled pending any pending availability of space. And that's it for me. I'll pass it off to Marnie to talk about the visual schedule.
Thank you. We have a document we call the tentative visual schedule, and it's a program-wide kind of visual of the week and all of the courses that are available. Once the term begins on your My Service Hub site, you'll be able to see your specific courses that you're enrolled in. It'll be a similar format to what we've screenshotted here. It's just less colorful. So the visual schedule that we send out and we manage, Mohammed will send it out with the course enrollment forms. So you'll get it about 6 weeks before the start of term. So mid-July for the fall term, mid-November for the winter term. And it's actually sent to you in an email, but as a link to a website or a web page. And the reason that we do it that way is because that schedule keeps updating with any changes. So we try to finalize the schedules as much as possible before we send them to you. But every once in a while, there's a last minute change. But if you use that link rather than printing like a PDF or printing out a hard copy of your schedule, you'll always have the updated version. Also, you'll notice on the screenshot that at the top of the page, there's kind of like a yellow highlighted area that has when it was last updated. So if you're ever looking at two versions of it for some reason and you can't figure out which is correct, there's some kind of discrepancy between the two, you can look at which is the most updated version. And then just a couple of notes about the layout. So as I said, this schedule that we send out is for all the courses offered in your program. So not all of them will apply to you. Some could be electives that you're not selecting, and some, if you're in a multi-year program, could be for other years of the program. There's always it's always outlined at the bottom. There's always a legend. That's the word I'm looking for. There's always a legend at the bottom of the screen that indicates what colors represent the different kind of course parameters. So in this case, for the Film and Photography Preservation and Collection Management program, it's a 2-year course. Courses that are highlighted in lime green are for the film stream for the first year of study, and so on. There's often also courses that don't have a required classroom or time during the week. Typically, those are shown at the top of the schedule. So the most common one is if there's an internship option or co-op option. There's not a weekly time. You'll schedule kind of meetings with the program instructor or supervisor as required, but obviously your internship schedule is with the company or organization that you're interning with. I think I've highlighted everything else there. Yes. And then for winter, you'll receive it in mid-November. Yeah, so you'll have it before you go on holiday for the winter term. And if you have any questions about it, you can reach out to your program email address, and it'll typically be me that answers it. Sometimes people are looking for information ahead of time because of work schedules, etc. Okay, so the next slide is about the plan of study and progress review forms. So I mentioned these before, and as I mentioned, they are a requirement for graduating for all graduate students at TMU. So you have to complete these forms. Luckily, they're very simple. So I'll be emailing them out typically around mid-August. I do it just before the start of the fall term, and the forms will be sent out to you in the form of a Google form. So you just click to open the link, answer the questions, submit, and that's it. They will be returned to you for your records as a PDF document, and the PDF document will look similar to the document we have screenshotted here. There is hyperlinks again. So there's a hyperlink to what the Google form will look like, and then a hyperlink to the template of what the PDF looks like. For each one, for the plan of study and progress review, I think I've used the media production as the example, but all of them are very similar. The purpose of these. So the purpose of the plan of study is really just to make sure that you have a clear overview of what the requirements of your program are before you enter it. So it'll give you step by step the program required courses, your available elective options, and then your non-course requirements, which we often refer to as milestones. So that's like completing your thesis or major research project. Oh, and I should mention there's a couple of programs where there's different stream options. So you can do like a thesis or a course only option. That's all outlined in the plan of study too. So it's not making you sign off on something that you don't have to complete. Everything is very clearly outlined. So that first one is really just a confirmation that you understand the program requirements. The progress review is a little bit more in depth, but it's still a very short form, you'll notice. And we usually send those out at the end of the fall term, and then you have over the break to complete them, and it's due mid-January. And these ones are kind of to look back over your first term or the first term of the year and indicate where you feel like you're at in terms of progress. So what you've completed, what you're looking towards in the next term, and then basically any comments or questions that you have. So again, those forms are completed mid-January, but then we return a PDF copy to you a month later. And with the progress review, both your supervisor and the program director review and sign off on the forms after you've completed them. Usually you're in conversation with them, so there's not much on the form that's surprising to them. But it is also a chance for you to provide feedback about the program that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to share. And this is actually the final slide of the presentation. So it just goes over the program contact emails in case you don't know the contact email for your program, but I'm sure Elaine has been emailing you from that. So if you have any questions at any point and you don't know who to reach out to, these are this is the place to start because we all check these, and we triage quite often to who's the best person to answer the questions. So we'll respond to you as soon as possible. And then Mohammed, I'll pass it back to you to talk about drop-in times.
Yeah. So we do also hold drop-ins at the office. So every Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., which is now, we hold in-person drop-ins at the Graduate Studies office, which is on the third floor of the RCC. So you're welcome to drop by if you have any questions. We also hold virtual drop-ins, which are at Fridays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I've included a Zoom link there. So you all have access to that once you receive this presentation. Um, if you have any questions related to the admissions process, I encourage you to still reach out to Elaine because she handles everything related to admissions. But if your questions are more around academic matters or course enrollment or anything like that, feel free to join the Zoom link. And I'm usually the one there to answer questions. I'm happy to address anything that comes up.
Yeah. So I guess we can now open it up to questions, but there's one, I just noticed one already in the question and answer. So Eric was just wondering, um, uh, just to confirm, we don't need to enroll in our courses ourselves. Is TMU going to send us an email with our schedule? So Mohammed, I'll pass that to you.
Yeah, so depending on the program, so some programs just don't have electives. Like if you're in FPPCM, or in the first year of journalism or the first year of interior design, everything's selected for you, so you'll receive an email with the schedule. And if your program does have electives, we will send a course selection form out before the end of next week, where you can select what courses you want, and you will be enrolled into everything by us. And once enrollment is complete, you'll get an email saying you have now officially been enrolled into your courses. Please check your My Service Up account to ensure everything's accurate.
And just to talk more about schedules, so we will send you out a schedule that shows all of the courses for your program. We call there's an example of one in this slideshow. We usually call it a tentative visual schedule. That is available to you. And then also once you've been enrolled in your courses, if you go into My Service Hub, there's an individualized schedule that just shows the courses that you're in and then will update if you drop anything or make any changes. Um, does anyone else have any questions?
Oh, I see the question in the chat. So if you do have an elective to choose, we select that and the program does the rest. Yeah. So on the course selection form, you'll choose your elective and then we'll be the ones to enroll you. And you'll receive a confirmation email that lets you know. For the PhD first semester, you will send out a schedule. We will fill out the form and send it back to you. We do not need to do anything else regarding our registration. No, you do not need to do anything else. The course selection form is pretty much, once you fill the course selection form out and send it back, that's pretty much you saying that I would like to be registered for the fall term.
And any other questions?
My question is for the elective, like I think I might take one from the creative school, not part of the elective that's in my documentary media program. So I know I have to get approval from the course, whatever you call them, course head, I suppose. But how do I do that on this course selection form? I put the course that I'd like to have, even if it's outside of my program, and then it would go to the program head. And you would send it to him, or do I have to go and see him or her?
Right. So on the course selection form, there will be an option that says it'll have a list of electives, and then there'll be an option that says I will not take any electives, or I will take an elective outside of the program. And it'll link you to the graduate electives website. So you can go there, see what's available. And once you know you can fill the course substitution form out, and then you can send it to the graduate program director with just some short rationale. And we can include that information for you.
Okay, and so then when I send it to them, I would just send it to the doc media email.
Yes.
Right?
That's
Okay, thank you.
Question from Namra. We would get the form mid-August. Actually, you will get the form earlier than that. I think it'll be in the next week or so that Mohammed's sending them out. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So you will send the schedule and course selection form both first. Yes, so the schedule will be embedded in the course selection form. So when you see the course selection form, you'll see a link which takes you to the schedule as well, so you can see what all the where all the courses are scheduled and what the timings are and the durations.
Next question. Are all electives offered? Sorry, are all elective offered in all the terms? No, they are not. Yeah. So and the elective list for some of the programs, such as the media production program, is quite extensive. And some of those electives are offered rarely, depending on enrollment or if there's a faculty member available to see them. So the website, the graduate program elective website that Mohammed's referenced a couple of times and is linked in this slideshow, is updated each term with all of the available electives for the whole faculty. And there are, if you're in a kind of an elective heavy program, the majority of electives are offered in the fall and winter semesters. It's mostly only digital media that offers electives in the spring and summer, I would say. Sometimes MPC has some.
See, what's the deadline to complete the elective forms? We will include a deadline in the email once you get them. As of right now, I believe we've set August 9th as the deadline. So you would have about a month, a little under a month to select. Media production, also the same. Yeah, so all the programs except for digital media, but yeah, would all follow that same process. Where will the courses syllabus information be available? Does TMU use Quarkus? So TMU uses D2L Brightspace, and that should be available. Marnie, are you aware? Is it end of August? And they'll have that available to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But the D2L Brightspace shells open up based on when the instructor opens them. So you may not see all of your shells in there when you first get access to it. But before you start your classes, the shells should all be open, and they'll populate themselves dependent on your enrollment.
I also see here, I might have missed it, but is the course selection form just for fall 2026? Yes, it's just for the fall 2026 semester. You'll receive another course selection form mid-November for the winter term, and then another one mid-March for the spring-summer term, and then we just repeat that cycle. That was a lot of questions in just 5 minutes.
Yeah, we went through a lot.
Yeah.
Is
Any
there
other
anything?
questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Mohammed. Is there anything that's kind of not how is that email set up for when you send out the course enrollment information? Is there anything that's not intuitive?
Right. So the email is structured pretty standard ways. So the first thing we'll do is we'll highlight what the required courses are for your program. So let's say, for example, you're in media production, a set amount of your courses are required. So we'll put that at the very top, like you will be enrolled in the following courses, for sure. And we'll list the 2 or 3 courses. Then it will link the course selection form. You would click that, go into that, and then select your electives from that. And then the third part of the email typically just talks about tuition and funding. And we mentioned this last week, 2 weeks ago at the Financing Your Study session, but I can mention it again. But typically what happens is your tuition is split into 3 payments throughout the year. So you'll be charged 1/3 of your tuition the first week of September, 1/3 the first week of January, and 1/3 the first week of May. And by the second week of each of those months, your funding will also come in. So you'll be charged tuition the first week of September. By the second week of September, your funding will kick in. It'll cover whatever it covers, and then you'll have until the end of the month to pay the remaining balance. And if you don't have a remaining balance, that means that your funding was higher than your tuition. You can then request to have that money transferred to you. So we'll mention that too in the email. We'll just try to keep it all very clear and concise.
And then another question I just thought of. So we've talked about the fact that the electives within the creative school are pretty easy to access. But what if you have an interest in a program outside of our faculty? So early childhood or social work, etc.
Yeah, so if you want to take a course at social work, let's say, the first thing you can do is go to the graduate calendar, see all the elective social work offers, pick a few that might be of interest to you, contact the social work department, and if you can't find their contact info, you can just reach out to us, and we can help you with that. You would reach out to their graduate team and ask, hey, are these courses available this term? They'll say yes or no, like, this course is available and this course is available, and then you can ask, are these courses open to non-program students? And if they say yes, then you can start the course substitution process where you get permission from their course instructor, your GPD, and your GPD is just short for graduate program director. So your graduate program director, your supervisor, and the instructor of that course. Fill the form out, submit it, and then we can get that sorted and get you enrolled. So it's a bit of a longer process with courses outside of the creative school, but still within TMU.
So you have to do a bit of searching yourself, but it's still possible.
Do you mind repeating where we can access the directory of all the grad electives? So it's the graduate calendar, but it'll be linked in the presentation. So you'll see it when Elaine sends the presentation out to all of you.
Yeah. Is there?
Is zone learning considered an elective? And if yes, does the enrollment for this course use the same process as the creative school electives? Yes, zone learning is considered an elective. And it does require a course substitution form as well. And yeah, I think that is one thing about zone learning that I'll mention as well is near the end of August, we will have like an orientation session, and the person in charge of zone learning will be there to talk a bit about that. So if you have any specific questions about zone learning, you'll have a chance to look at that. Can you repeat the payment due dates, please? It's just the end of the first month of every term. So the end of September, the end of January, and the end of May. And if you're unable to make the payment by then, you can still make it in the subsequent month, but you'll just be charged like a late fee. And the late fees do subsequently incur like the longer you wait.
And sorry to scroll back so quickly. I just wanted to jump back to the significant dates. So the dates for the payment as well as all other important dates. So for example, if you want to drop a course, the date where you can drop a course before there's any financial ramifications, like you cannot get your full refund back. All of those dates are listed in on that significant date site.
I see here. What about summer courses for interior design? Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about the 2-year program. So yeah, you will be enrolled into those as well. I don't think we have information on those yet, do we, Marnie? I think we're still waiting.
I don't think there are any electives offered in MID in the summertime, but yeah, for sure there is required courses that run throughout the summer. And if you're just coming into the 2-year program, there's also that before you even begin your fall classes, there's like a workshop that's just to kind of give you a little bit of a head start on some of the software you'll be using. So I think it's CAD and Rhino. They do kind of like a 2-week workshop or a week workshop on that. Yeah.
I see a question here on the process of transferring RESPs to payment. So we wouldn't deal with that at the department level. That's something you would have to speak to your institution about. I know in some cases the institutions do require like an enrollment letter, just to show that you are enrolled. And if you need one, you can definitely get in touch with us and we can get that sorted. In the interim, though, you should be able to use your admissions letter, but again, just connect with us, and then we'll do our best to help.
Yeah. So just to, when you're talking about institution, your bank will actually help you with that, but they'll just require documentation from the university. For programs with spring and summer internships, does the course selection form for that semester include the option, or is that another form? There are other forms that you'll have to complete before you complete your internship. But the course selection form will have the internship option in terms of being enrolled in the actual course. Mohammed, are you involved in that process, or does it like hand over immediately to Danielle once she knows that you're enrolled?
Yeah, the course selection form, yeah, like you said, it has the option. And so if you select the internship option, we'll get you enrolled, and then I will let our internship coordinator know. Um, and then she'll take it from there. Um, there are some nuances with the internship as well. One thing we do say is, if you're not enrolled in the internship course, but maybe halfway through the term you come across an internship, it's difficult to try and get any student enrolled into the internship program while we're already halfway through the term. So what we usually recommend to some students is, if you think you may be doing an internship, just enroll, just select the internship option. We'll enroll you into the course. And TMU is very generous with its drop deadlines. So if you don't secure an internship by the second month, you can just let us know and we can drop the course from your schedule and you can take it in a subsequent term.
And for most programs, if you want to take an internship and it's not a required part of your program, there is usually that elective option. So we usually do have one or two students in most of the programs that choose to take an internship at some point in their during their program. Is there any other questions?
We still have about 15 minutes.
Great.
You're also welcome to unmute and ask your question verbally.
Hi, I had a question. I'm Lakshmi, by the way. Nice to meet you. And I just want to know, how do you go about securing an internship? Does the university help with that, or do they not? How does it work? Because you are enrolled in it, but how does that work?
Yeah, I know from actually, this would depend on the program, I believe, but for the most part, the internship is a self-directed search. There are resources that the university has and listings and partners and organizations with pre-existing relationships with TMU, but overall, it is a self-directed search. So it is the student's responsibility to ensure they can secure an internship.
Yeah. So Danielle, we have a dedicated individual whose role is internship coordinator, and so she can often give you an listing of companies that have done internships in the past, kind of like a starting point. But her role really doesn't go on beyond that point. Sometimes your supervisor or faculty members can recommend organizations or positions they might be aware of.
All right, perfect. And I just want to go upon Eric's question as well, right there. So, is there an elective list with the specific topics under them, which will be covered as part of the course that we are enrolled in?
So for electives to your specific program, they will be listed in the course selection form. So all the electives for the fall term for your program will be there. For electives in the creative school, with all the other graduate programs, they'll be on the Creative School Graduate Electives website, which is linked in the presentation, and you'll get a chance to look at that. For electives that are just offered in like the general TMU community, there's no master list that shows all electives that are currently being offered. So for that, you would go to the graduate calendar and just see what's available, and then reach out to those departments and ask them if those particular electives are available and open and can be taken by non-program students.
Oh,
Yeah, kind of a similar question. Eric just asked, where can I find all the electives? So the graduate calendar that's linked on the page that's currently showing has all of the courses for graduate studies. And then there's a link to our graduate elective website, which will each semester will update with the elective options that are running for the coming semester in our faculty. So across the creative school, those are all the graduate electives. If you want to take an elective that's outside of our faculty, that's actually like if you have a very specific interest, it's actually up to the student to then contact that program and ask what electives they have. But we can help you kind of navigate that a little bit by providing the point of contact for that other graduate program.
Lakshmi is also asking, but is there a page where we can view the topic breakdown? So the graduate calendar has course descriptions for all of the electives that TMU offers, all the graduate electives.
but not the chapters, not the individual chapters and what they would cover.
Oh, so you mean the course syllabus? No, not those.
Yes,
No,
that's
no.
okay.
There's a question from. Oh, never mind. You already answered that, Marnie. The PhD one.
I think Raha had a follow-up question though. And should I find one in an organization that accepts internships? Does the school have a list of options? So it is up to the student to secure the internship. In most of the programs, they can be paid internships. I can't think of an exception to that. But there is an individual, Danielle Taylor, who will be at kind of the orientation, the graduate studies orientation that our office hosts. That's a virtual orientation. You can meet Danielle there. So she does have resources in terms of like if you're interested in a specific field, she'll have contacts of places that have done internships with the creative school before. So she can kind of lead you in a right direction, but it is up to the student to actually follow up and secure the internship.
I see. Does the internship need to be from an organization listed on your program's website? So no, it does not need to be. There are a set of forms that Danielle Taylor will provide, just to make sure everything is compliant with the organization, but no, it does not need to be.
And there are, that's a good way of saying it, compliant. There's all the other forms too that they'll have to fill out afterwards, like you will have to do at WSIB forms and stuff. But it is, I think each semester there's new companies working with TMU in terms of internships. And is the internship only for the spring and summer courses? No, there are a couple of programs where the internship is like a mandatory requirement, and those programs tend to schedule the courses around it. And so they typically run in certain terms. For sure, for FPPCM, it's set which term you're doing your internship in because it's such an extensive internship. Or I think they actually refer to it as residency because really that's all you do in that term. But for the other programs, it's pretty flexible. The MPC program, typically it used to be in the winter, but now there's flexibility. You can either do it in the winter or the spring, summer.
And with fashion, you can do it in pretty much any term. The course is offered throughout the year. Is there a way to know which courses are more theoretical based and which ones are more creative? It's a good question.
Sometimes it's quite often obvious from the titles or the descriptions. So like depending on which program are you going into?
Media production.
Media production. It's pretty obvious from the titles. So it'll be like editing part one or like producing part one versus like what's a good theoretical one? Ethics in the media industry kind of thing. So you can certainly get a good gauge of it from both the title of the course and the course description. If you have specific questions about them, I would just reach out to our office, and I think we could really help you navigate, or the course instructor could help answer your questions. With the media production one, though, because the going into that one, you're looking more at the kind of business or producing side of it. They are pretty selective with the students they let into the more hands-on courses. They do kind of want some background knowledge. So yeah, it is good to ask questions in terms of how advanced some of the courses are.
One thing I will mention is most programs, the electives offered typically have a fair amount of space in them, but there are some programs where the electives, like media production is one of these. We offer a long list of electives for media production, but some of the electives may only have like 4 or 5 spaces in them. So as you fill the course selection form out, just a heads up, it will be like first come, first serve. Because once the deadline hits and we go through all the course selection forms, we'll just look at them chronologically and enroll you accordingly. So I know, for example, like editing specialty, I think that one usually only has about 4 or 5 spots in them. So that fills up pretty quickly, and there are a number of other ones that do as well. So once the course selection form is out, I definitely suggest doing your research, looking into the courses, and getting that sorted as soon as you can. If you do want to change something, you don't have to email us. You can just submit a second course selection form. The form allows you to submit more than once, and we'll just look at the most recent one.
There's also for media production, in addition to Mohammed, there's a gentleman named Steve Levitan who works with the graduate program director. It's kind of a special situation there because the graduate program director is also the chair of the undergraduate program. So there's some additional support, and you could meet with Steve if you have like a specific area that you're going into, and I bet he could recommend electives that would be the best match. So if you would be interested in doing something like that, just send an email to the program email address, and we could then forward it to Steve and he could set something up. They also, I think James is planning it again, but the media production program, he'll do a barbecue at the end of summer where all the first year media production students are invited over to his house. Unfortunately, not all the graduate program directors have a barbecue option available, but James does it. And so you'll get to meet James and Steve, and that's a nice opportunity to kind of ask questions too. So. Repeat the name of who you can contact. So Raha, you're in the PhD. So it's Danielle Taylor is her name, but usually there's a contact email for her.
I think it's internships.creative.
Internship.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Raha, I'll check it and then I'll send you an email with her contact information. Does anyone else have any questions? We are coming close now to the end of the session.
I was just thinking if the elective program is full, say if you wanted to do editing, you said there was an audit option. Would that be possible to just audit? And then how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so definitely possible. It wouldn't count towards your graduate requirement but you're more than welcome to do that. And once this presentation gets sent out, on one of the slides, we do link the course audit form. So it's pretty much you fill the form out, you get the GPT to approve, and then you get the course instructor to approve and your supervisor to approve. And then you just send it to us and we have it added to your schedule.
Great, thank you.
There are some electives. It's not too many of them, but some of the more technical electives, there is like a hard maximum class limit. And so when they're full, you can't have anyone else in there, and that's just like a space thing. So for the example that you mentioned, editing might be one of those, just because the editing booths are quite small. So they can only fit so many students in there, and then that's it for the term. Okay.
Yeah. One last thing I would also suggest is I encourage you in the first week or the first 2 weeks just to check in. If you could not get into an elective, just check in and ask if space becomes available, because there is a lot of movement in the first 2 weeks of every term. Students will join a course, an elective, they'll attend a class and they'll say, oh, you know what, this isn't for me, I'm going to switch out of this. And that happens a lot. Even with like very, very small courses like editing specialty, we we cut everyone off and we say no more, we're not accepting any more students. And then a week later, maybe 2 spots will open up. So I definitely encourage you to just to email your program and your program email and just ask. Okay, we're down to the last 2 minutes. Any final questions?
I'm a Pisces. Are you a Pisces too, Mohammed? No, I don't.
No, no. I'm a water sign though. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio. So,
Cool. Gemini. I
aha.
don't think we have many Geminis, not in our office at least. Look, Eric, you're not alone. Namra's a Gemini too. So not many in the office, but many in this session.
Mhm. Oh, that's funny.
So on that note,
Yes.
end off there. You're welcome. Thanks for joining, guys. If you have any questions, like we said, send them to the websites and